Om Shanti. So, welcome to Awake the Journey, Awake the Parivar Chit Chat, sweet conversations that overflow with insights and inspirations. So, we invite our dear angel brother Eric. Welcome.
Well, dear Angel Bhumi, thank you so much. Always happy to be welcomed in the Avyakti Parivar, and particularly in this special time of Diwali. So happy Diwali, everyone. Good evening. Lovely to be thinking about being this living light. So, Mohini Didi, we've been hearing about merciful, bestower, and now this also beautiful virtue of forgiveness. And very often we connect the words forgiveness and getting, forgive and forget. And I'm wondering if what link do you see between the two? And sometimes we wonder if we should forget first and then we forgive, or do we forgive first and then we forget? And how do they both work together? But before, Om Shanti and loving greetings to you, Mohini Didi. Always nice to bring you into my garden of jasmine every Saturday.
Yeah, beautiful flower. They're growing so good, must be the love, right?
The love, the forgiveness, the many virtues.
I think that forgiveness is very good quality, and it helps me in the sense of that once I forgive, then I can forget too. Because I have experienced that sharing Dadi Prakashmani also, that one who makes mistake, one is to forgive is like your mind gets clear about that. Secondly, this quality that soul, we don't want anyone to feel guilty, right? Let's say if someone has done something and when realizes that it was wrong, will be guilty. So there are two things. If I still have some vibrations, then that soul won't come close to me again. And that could be a big loss for that soul, right? So when you clear your feelings, then you find that everything gets settled in a very nice way, in the sense of that soul doesn't feel bad. And the journey continues in still having same good relationships. And once Dadi Prakashmani told me somebody did mistake, and she's giving a lot of love to that soul because she doesn't want that soul to go far away. And it will affect the journey of that soul. So deeply within, there's such a benevolent feeling of benevolence for that soul. And also then our heart also remain light and clear. So I definitely believe in forgiveness. But then again, there are some people, if you forgive, they do it again, they might do again. But it's not, if we think that way, but also there are a lot of people who realize and also change. So again, I have to maintain my quality of bestower. And forgive and forget is very important, very important.
So to what extent do you forget? Do you forget completely, half, 30%? Or how much do you forget?
One doesn't, why have to remember something which is rubbish, in the sense of there is no point to remember all what happened, why this one said it. Yeah, maybe a few years ago, but not now. It doesn't, it just a kind of, okay, it's over now. That chapter is over. I don't have to open it again.
Do you think the forgetting? Yeah. Do you
You
think
had
the
been
forgetting
using
is about?
forgiveness.
Mm,
You had been using forgiveness too.
yeah, and also sometimes it's different degrees of forgiveness. I find sometimes you can have to forgive someone for something that they haven't done to you, but they may have done it to the family or to someone else, but not to me personally. I find the degree of forgiveness is different when it's something that has been done to the self. So if someone has really, spoken badly or did something really not too nice, and if I'm affected in my feelings, then I think forgiveness takes a little bit more work, because at that time there's some kind of maybe karmic accounts. If I'm in the experience of a karmic account with someone, then just to say, okay, I forgive that soul it's not authentic. It doesn't feel like natural. It has to come from a little homework. I don't know what you think, but I feel sometimes I do have to work on myself before I can forgive the other person. Because if I'm still feeling hurt, or if I'm still arguing in my mind against the person, say, no, she's wrong or he's wrong, it's difficult to forgive, no? So I need to work on myself first so I can be able to forgive.
Because now time also is that we shouldn't take anyone's mistake on a personal level, in the sense of, like it says, if somebody says something which is insulting or humiliating, shouldn't really affect us now, because okay, that's what that one thinks, but I am not that. So just with your self-respect and your honesty towards yourself, you don't take that. We don't allow all to get our feelings affected, because when feelings are affected, it takes little time. Like you are touched now, so it takes little time. But if we don't allow us to be touched, I think that stage comes. Right?
Do you believe in forgiving the self as well?
Yeah, yeah, I do. And not myself, I go to Baba and ask for forgiveness.
So how does it work? Is it we ask for forgiveness from Baba and then we forgive the self, or is it also important just to forgive the self? If we make a mistake or if something, I don't think you make mistakes anymore, but remember your old days when maybe you used to make mistake a long time ago. How do we
No,
how do we go?
I tell Baba, then I realize, and with realization, determination, I don't repeat it. And thinking in the mind is repetition also in a kind. If I
We
keep
had a
thinking, I keep
Mhm.
thinking about it also is not right. So I just, give to Baba and then determine that I'm not going to repeat it. And then I don't think about it. That means I don't say now I have to forgive myself. But I told Baba, Baba is the one who is supreme judge. But also if it is a big mistake, then whatever I have to settle or I have to face, it's all right. But I have told Baba, and I feel Baba forgives. Baba forgives. And then it's up to me how long I carry on with that in any form, whether it's thoughts or awareness. No, I should also forget. No, that is, I have forgiven myself.
We had a very interesting conversation with a few brothers and sisters recently, and one sister was saying that she feels okay. She made something happen to her, and there was some guilt a little bit, but she feel like she really forgave herself many times. She keep feeling, okay, I forgive myself. I ask Baba for forgiveness, but still later on, it's still coming back to her awareness with negative feeling. And she was asking, so why is it that I still feel something, even though I forgive myself and I realize, so what is left that makes that feeling happen?
No, that means she has to change her thoughts. when those thoughts come, then she has to remind herself that Baba has forgiven and let me be Master Almighty. So instantly she should try to change the thoughts. If one time all thoughts doesn't disappear, maybe 80%, but that's the best way actually to change your thought, change your awareness,
Where do you feel guilt? Where do you see guilt in that whole equation? That someone, let's say, made a mistake, feels guilty, like feels bad about it, but they want to forgive themselves and they want to ask Baba for forgiveness, but the guilt still remains.
So that
So,
guilt is sanskar, kind of.
mm,
Everyone doesn't have that, I don't, I always feel that I give to Baba. He's supreme judge, let him decide for me whatever. But I don't allow the thoughts to continue. So this guilt conscious also is a deep sanskar in the soul from the past, So that sanskar has to be changed of guilt, not only for one mistake, but even otherwise. Because when you are honest and truthful in front of Supreme Judge, then you shouldn't have any fear or guilt also. I'm not much aware of guilt feeling because I never, kind of hold on to anything. I said, okay, Baba, because I think all of us maybe in the beginning did disobey Srimad to some extent. I remember that many times Baba wanted me to go somewhere and I really didn't want it to go and I will make an excuse. But I just say because it was lack of power or lack of self-trust, I didn't do. But it's not I want to disobey Baba. And same things I was able to do. So Baba didn't change his mind for me. He still kept same vision. Why can't I do that? No.
yeah, it's maybe a question of sanskaras, like you said, or culture as well. I think in some religion, we're raised with fear, attitude from the priest or others, the guilt, that if you do something wrong, you should feel ashamed. And, even sometimes when I used to listen to the Sakar Murlis, and a small mistake, I remember missing Amrit Vela and feeling so wrong, like you wake up at 4:45 exactly as if Baba really wants to show you, you really missed it. You see, 4:45, you missed 45 minutes. And I remember sometimes when I miss Amrit Vela, in early days, I would be a little bit hard on myself and think, oh, I miss Amrit Vela, I'm going to miss one birth in Golden Age. I'm not going to marry Lakshmi now, this is over. And then, that guilt was okay, childish a little bit. But I think some Murlis, sometimes in Avyakt Murlis, Baba is very strong, and he says, if you make mistake, don't even come in front of me. And sometimes so I think sometimes this little guilt is just not about big mistakes. And it's, for some of us, it was difficult to change the culture from guilt to self-esteem, self-respect. And I think sometimes it's even for small thing,
So that's why remember how Baba looks at you. So self-respect is Baba is respecting you. So keep that in mind. And I think we have to change, even if it's culture-based, but we have to change that sanskar of feeling bad.
So I come back on this question of forgetting, because to me, also when we say, okay, you forgive, but also I feel I have a great gift in my life is I forget very easily a lot of things. So it's good people tell me all the stories and 3 weeks later, I don't remember anything, which is a very good gift and blessing. But some things sometimes come back and you feel, should I forget completely? Or is it just a matter of not dwelling over it or not, because sometimes we have to remember if somebody has a sanskar and in a service, we may have to remember, okay, well, this is the story. So I have to be careful, I should be aware of that. So how do you see really forgetting in your practice?
I think everything get merged in the soul. So we have to be careful that it doesn't emerge. Let it be merged, and finally it goes into deep silence, and then it doesn't come back in your awareness. So I think that forgetting, with all of us, more we are, intellect is engaged in churning and service, and you forget, like whole day you don't remember many things. But then when intellect sometimes is free, then we entertain it, so some of the things come from the past. But again, it's a practice, it's a stage, it's an effort, which we all have to do.
You mentioned about Dadiji when she told you that her feeling was that soul should not move away. So you were sharing about how important our vibration should act also in such a way that the other person doesn't feel guilt, doesn't feel rejected. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was an incident where you mentioned to me that, or to many of us, if it was in class, that something major happened with someone. And all the seniors were a little bit concerned that Dadiji was probably the only one who was so undisturbed. And what she shared with you, and correct me if I remember wrongly, but she said, yeah, she felt that she should have so much love and care for that soul, because that soul will have to go through the consequence of her action. And she said, if I could just help her to not feel all the sorrow that could be a consequence of her actions, that's where she were having such elevated feelings. Do you remember that? Or
Yeah, but so the main aim was that we don't want anyone to be suffering, because we love them. We don't want them to go through any kind of, uh, experiencing consequences, but also realizing that what I did was so bad, as soon as it will come, and knowing that Dadiji knows will be the worst thing. So Dadi made it in such a way that even if she knows, but she still has a lot of love for the soul. And I know chart of many, but I don't ever, kind of allow those thoughts to emerge when I'm sharing drishti or thinking about soul. And that helps soul so much. Oh, Sister Mohini knew that, but didn't give any subtle feeling even about what I did. So I think this gives them, they can really honestly come close to seniors, and hope and strength for them to move forward. And that's what we have to do, right? As seniors, not to make them feel bad about anything. Some do, right? But that doesn't work. And those who really give a lot of love, they help the souls to move forward, right? And that's what we should be doing.
but has it always been natural for you, or did you make? I remember, I'm sure you must have had some experiences where, let's say, you have a little meeting and the meeting doesn't go really as planned, and difference of opinion, someone is not happy, and you can tell they're not happy with you, and they leave the room, and then 10 minutes later it's Murli time or something, so you sit and you have to give them drishti. Was it always natural that you will instantly forget, or is there a
If
practice?
you have to prepare your mind to that you will give drishti as a soul. And I think that in your heart, there should be love for everyone. Whatever they acting, reacting, they playing their part. I think that love doesn't disappear. And if that doesn't, then whatever they do, you are still loveful with them. There are some souls I remember, in a meeting made a comment which was not a right comment, but it didn't bother me. So Jayantiman was asking that, how can you do that? And I said, whatever a person says, we have to minus the personal sanskar, personal interest of that soul, and take the part which is really a valid one. So all the time we have to be just, okay, this is what she said, but that's not right, right? A part of it is right, but not everything. So your love stays, and in a way their mercy comes, right? That soul has the habit to do it, or some personal interest is there to say these things. But it didn't really it didn't affect my image in the eyes of anyone, because what they said, oh, she's not like that. There are some soul who said, I'm going to say this when I go to England. So other one is saying, but nobody will believe you, because they trust Sister Mohini, they know her very well. So I think if we have honesty, if we have self-image, whatever anyone thinks or say, it really doesn't affect us, Even if they talk for a while, in the sense of even few years, they hold that kind of thing. But finally, they have to change, and they do change. Oh, we thought you were like that. We heard from someone you were like that. But then she said, oh, now I know you are a person of your principles and you really act accordingly. So I think that we shouldn't take all that, what comes on the way. You can't keep gathering all these things. Then the mind becomes heavy, and yeah, so we have to have an attitude kind of holding yourself with whatever is right, and whatever is wrong has to finally disappear or feel forgiven.
How do you bring Baba into this whole process? You mentioned about being bestower, that you sometimes see how Baba himself is a bestower, and you use that, or you feel that quality of bestowing from Baba. How would you describe Baba's energy or Baba's attitude of forgiveness, both Shiv Baba and Brahma Babas?
Because their feelings never change towards the soul. I remember one time one mother came and she said, I made a big mistake. So I said, okay, let's go and sit in Baba's room. And she was kind of IP soul many years ago. And after a few minutes, she said, what did Baba say? I said, he was just smiling. Because it's past, it's the action. Whatever action is there, if you tell Baba, half is forgiven. If you don't tell, consequences will be there. Why will Baba change his feelings? Right? So if I have to earn my fortune, if I want to maintain my good stage, so why I will change attitude towards anyone? Any kind of mistake, whether spiritual path or in a physical way also, so many things happen sometimes. But they happen. Why to allow our heart to be affected by that?
Do you feel
So,
that we can also inspire others to forgive? Like if you yourself feel it natural and you're forgiving naturally, how do you inspire others? Because you must be seeing sometimes conflict in front of you, and you see others who are not practicing the same way as you do. How do you inspire them to forgive if you feel they're holding on to something?
you can set example. You can be what is the right to do, and see how others take it. Some can immediately change, some don't. They still hold on to that. But time comes, so just be example and just be what is right. And don't think about if others are changing or not, that person realized or not. Because then everyone has their own part also to play now. So I just become observer.
So, Mohini Didi, I know tomorrow morning many will be starting celebrating so many Diwali celebrations. The Murli will be read, and we'll be feeling special energy. Any thoughts about especially when this year we see how much the world is getting really, it's loud, you know, the sorrow, the negativity. Any special thought for you in terms of Diwali and how special it should be for us to be maybe a little bit brighter if the world is getting darker?
Yeah, actually, we should have. One is celebration, but other is from our heart. We want, Baba is talking a lot about liberation and liberation in life. Just have very good feelings towards the world, that they can be liberated from all falsehood and frauds and greed and suffering and all that. So definitely invoking light is, on other words, dispelling the darkness, So more we do it from our heart, and I think definitely it will have effect on the world. That means creating more hope and more positivity.
Do you feel that as a future head of state yourself in the golden age, as a future head of state or, leader in the golden age, do you have special feelings for all the head of the countries today? Because for me, sometimes these souls, are not in an easy position. All the head of state, all the president, prime ministers, and they're holding the world in a way, in their hands as well with their actions. So what are your thoughts sometimes for all the world leaders?
I think that is why, because people are finding leaders very difficult to manage, so some are very honest and they resign, but also we know there are no next election which leader. So I feel that there are two types of leaders. One, those who are really, really more into dictatorship and control and power. And there are some, they are very honest, but then they are under a lot of pressure, because that policy also, people don't make it, let it work, even if they could work, but it's not acceptable also. So I think that we have to have, to me, I give a lot of good wishes to them, but also knowing, I have to always remember all that is Kali Yuga, all that is Iron Age. So it has to happen, it has to happen. Otherwise it affects us, So knowing that we are at confluence age, and yeah, our duty is to keep sending good vibrations to them and take them under Baba's protection,
Mm. In the documentary I'm making at the moment, we interviewed a Buddhist nun in Nepal, and we give her the last word of the documentary, and she says her favorite quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt, the former first lady in the United States, who said, instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle. And I thought this is such a beautiful image for Diwali, that as the world is in darkness, the best thing we can do is not to see the darkness, but to light a candle. And I thought that was very, very beautiful.
Yeah, because only way is to dispel it, through the light, ignite the light. Yeah, that's a good version to remember. And that's what we all will do. Indeed, not only tomorrow, it might continue another 2-3 days.
So I know there will be celebration, special bhati, but there will be a lot of toli tomorrow. So one sister prepared for Avyakti Parivar a special tray of Mohun Tal. Something like that. Mohun Tal. So
Mohan.
Something like that. Mohun
Actually, they have something special on Diwali. They call it gogra. It's like a sweet samosa. So everyone, everywhere make, they call it gogra. So this was given to everyone, everywhere, right? And then what they make is salty toli, very nice one called chevra. So gugra, chevra, and then they make coconut burfi. So we gave these three in a bag to everyone today. We had about 230 long, big gathering of New York all centers after a long time after COVID. Generally, we try to get about 150, but today we allowed everyone to come. So outside we had tents. Weather was very good, 65 degrees. So everyone ate and had hot tea and good time together. So happy Diwali, Eric Bhai.
Thank you, Mohini Didi. Happy
Happy
Diwali to
Diwali
you.
to everyone. Happy Diwali.
Wishing you all the best to everyone in Avyakti Parivar. Happy Diwali, sweet, lovely, and filled with love for the whole world. So happy
And
Diwali, everyone.
thank you for Mohan.
Yeah, Mohan Tal. I thought I had it pronounced properly, but I have to practice a bit more. Thank you.